Elisha here once again, and
You want me to take over for you? Apparently you haven't been drinking, I have. So if you need me to take over for you, your mighty munchkin here's got
well,
it.
today's story, folks, is going to be told by Richie, so we may as well let him take over.
Alright. Pardon the behavior. I've had a few beers in me. The story I'm going to tell you all today, we're going to stay in the paranormal. The story involves me, Sebastian, and Levi. And this happened in the late 80s. We live in a city with a famous historical abandoned tuberculosis hospital that's known for hauntings. It's been on all these shows. You never went with us, did you?
No, but I have heard about this place, never been to it, and I've heard there's been a lot of uh, encounters there, if you will.
Yeah, I mean, Gordo didn't go with us. Jeremiah didn't go with us. I think it was just only me, Levi, and Sebastian, along with some other guys we played high school football with. So we live in a famous city, where the first Saturday of every May, we have the horse race. We have a famous, infamous hospital in the 1900s that dealt with tuberculosis patients.
I'm not going to tell people where this place is, but I'm almost telling people where it is.
Yeah, that's haunted. Um, but after a famous high school football game with our arch rival, which we won, about 40 of us, football players and some females, companions, we all decided we were going to go to this famous hospital. We may or may not have trespassed. We don't know. But we kind of went into this hospital, and some of the guys were like, didn't want to go out. Others of us decided we're going to go in. They wanted to stay out. We're going to go in. So we did the diplomatic thing. One of us from our high school teamed up with somebody from our arch rival high school, and we'd go in pairs. And I think there was 12 of us that went in. And so Sebastian and an arch rival guy went in through the basement area. I went in through the opposite side with them, with an arch rival guy, and Levi and another guy went in. I think they went towards the area where they call the body chute. So we're all in this place, and it's weird. All right, this is the 80s. It's not like in the 90s and the 2000s where it's been more cleaned up and all this and that. This place in the late 80s, it still had stuff in the hall. Still had furniture in it. Windows busted out. Not as much graffiti as what you've probably seen on some of these TV shows. So we're in there, and we all had these old police-style walkie-talkies with the antennas on them you had to pull out. So we've got these, we got people looking for, security or police, whatnot. We're not going in there to vandalize nothing. We're just going to see if it's truly haunted. So there's like 12 of us inside. There's like 30 people outside in this huge, I guess it was a parking lot. It was late at night. It was a Friday night, maybe early Saturday morning.
And back in that day, it's something that sometimes people would do because a lot of people had heard the stories about this place, what goes on. So y'all were going there. Okay, let's see for ourselves.
Correct. And the weirdest thing was now they have a new neighborhood that's, I don't know if it's considered behind it, beside of it, but that was all woods when we were there. And you climbed over the fence. And we're talking, it's October, September. It's a warm fall night. But as soon as we climbed over the fence onto the property, it was like you're going into another dimension. It was cold. It literally felt like it dropped 10, 15 degrees. I mean, it's like you should have brought your sweatshirt kind of a thing. So there was an eeriness once you got onto this property. All right. So we're walking up to the old abandoned hospital, and it's huge. I mean, what you see on television, it's huge. It doesn't do it justice. You see it in person, it's like massive, and it's eerie. And you got the musky smell, with the breeze going around all over the place. So we all decided, 12 of us would adventure in. Rest people would stay out. And so we go in. You can hear some of the guys moving around in, the hallways or different parts of it. You hear like things falling, somebody knocking stuff over. Geniuses like us didn't realize to bring flashlights. So some of the halls you'd walk in pitch dark. You'd have very little moonlight coming in the broken windows. Some of the glass windows were shattered, some weren't.
And no cell phones to communicate with each other back then.
Yeah, that's why we had the walkie-talkies.
Right.
And there were police officer walkie-talkies because one of the guys we went in with, his dad was a captain with the police department. We won't say which police department, but his dad was a captain. So we are using police officer walkie-talkies and not knowing that they can pick up everything we're saying. All right, we're football players, for Christ's sake. We're not rocket scientists.
Morons.
I won't disagree with that. So we're going around through this and that. Sebastian and the guy that he was with, they had a very scary encounter. And you hear all kinds of stories about this hospital,
I've heard about the red rubber ball.
Right. Well, Sebastian and this guy encountered this. And it was really weird, all right? It's weird. You had supposedly a nurse that committed suicide and hung herself there. And, you'll hear different stories. Supposedly this nurse hung herself, committed suicide there. Was it because patients dying? Was it because of having an extramarital affair with a doctor? We don't know. Some stories you hear about this hospital are legit. Some you don't know. But I don't know is every guy that went in there, because we're in, there's 6 teams, 2 guys in each team. You always had this feeling that somebody or something was near you. A presence was near you. All right. I made it to the 2nd floor. And you can hear a guy screaming up top. Something was going on because you hear out of nowhere, "What the hell's that?" And you just hear footsteps running. You hear guys screaming like, "Get me out of here." And I recognize some of the voices. And I'm like on the radio, like, "What's going on? What's going on?" "There's something up here. Get me the hell out of here." And it's just like, what's going on? Then it starts freaking out other guys. Like there's somebody on the 3rd floor. It's like, what the hell's that? What's going on? I've had enough of this. Just radio chatter. And some you would hear guys above you echoing through the hall, screaming, wanting to get out. So me and this guy are looking at each other like, "Do you want to stay?" He's like, "I want to get out." It's like, "Well, your friends are in here with my friends, so let's make sure we get everybody out." Everything was hectic. Things was going weird. You just had an evil presence that something did not want you there. Get the hell out. And you hear guys running into stuff up above us on the next floor. Running into like desks, furniture, chairs, whatever. Eerie feeling. And we hear on the radio, Sebastian's like, "We're locked in a room. There's somebody outside the door. We heard footsteps." And Sebastian and them, I think, were at the highest level of any of us. I think everybody else was like floors below them. I could be wrong. I don't know. I think there's like 5 floors in this building, 6 floors. I don't remember. All right, but the top floor is where the tuberculosis people would like sunbathe on the outside of the patio or something. And Sebastian and them were the highest ones up. And you hear Sebastian's like, "We heard footsteps." And we had our radio turned off. They were already talking on the radio like, "Who's on the floor with us?" And others was like, "No, we're below you all." We decided to turn the radio on. We start hearing all this. And Sebastian's like, "Somebody is on our floor with us. We think it's a security guard." And one of the guys was like, "No, there's no security guards. They only patrol the outside. They don't patrol the inside." And, Sebastian is like, "Well, there's somebody outside our door, and we're in this big room. We're going to go into this offshoot room next to us." And so they go in there. And you hear Sebastian, on the radio, is like, "Somebody open the door." He's whispering. He's like, "Somebody open the door. They're in the big room we just were in." And you can hear them walking up to the door. And Sebastian's talking about this. And one of the guys on the radio is like, "Shut up. Just don't say nothing. They won't hear you." And Sebastian's sitting there just like, on the radio. It's like, they stopped at our door. We think they're on the other side of the door. And as this is going on, the other guys are running through the halls, down the staircases. Some of the staircases are chain locked where you can't get through the double doors. And they're just, you can hear them screaming. Not even on the radio. You can just hear them screaming, like, get me out of here kind of thing. It was hectic. It was scary. And you just, hear people on the outside, like, yelling to follow the voice. And you hear guys, running down, following the people's voice to get out and all this and that. And this went on for like 5-10 minutes. And we still hear Sebastian's like, they haven't left our room. They're still on the outside of our door. And you hear, such and such, we made it out. You hear Levi, I made it out with my partner. So the only people that were left in there was Sebastian and who he was with, who was 2 or 3 floors above us, then me and the guy that I was with. And you just hear Sebastian's like, just go ahead and get the hell out of here. So me and this guy made our way out. So everybody is standing on the outside looking up to the floor. We think Sebastian and I think that guy's name was Randall. All right. We're going to call him Randall. All right. So Sebastian and Randall are in this room that's off of this big room. And they heard somebody footsteps from the hall that walked in and all this and that. And then out of nowhere, you hear Sebastian on the radio is like, who's got the little kid and the ball? And we're like, what? He goes, I hear a little girl laughing and a ball bouncing in the hall.
Is it the red rubber ball?
Don't know. We're all outside. And the girls that are with us, they're starting to freak out. They're like, take me home. I don't want any part of this. And all the other guys are like, well, we got a buddy still in there. We got to get him out. And you hear Sebastian's like, there's a little girl in the hallway bouncing a ball. A little kid. And we're like, you see him? He's like, no, I'm still in this room with Randall. And finally, after 2-3 minutes, Sebastian's like, F this, we're going to open the door. So they opened the door. And there was nobody standing there. All right? So you're talking the hallway, the door, into another room. And then Sebastian went from the big room into an offshoot room. So they come back into the big room that they were previously in. They don't see anybody. And Sebastian and Randall are looking at each other like, where the hell did this guy go? We heard somebody on the other side of this door. And still outside in the hall, they can hear this little girl laughing, little kid laughing, and a ball bouncing. And the guy's like, I don't know, but I want to get the hell out of here. And Sebastian, finally opened the door to look in the hall like, they're expecting to see a little kid and a ball. Nothing. Nothing. But what was really odd, Sebastian later said that there's furniture like they were going to get out of the hospital, some like chairs and stuff stacked up against it, like towards the wall. Now everything's in the middle of the hallway. And then above them they hear footsteps. So Sebastian and Randall's like, F this, we're getting out of here. And we can hear them screaming, running down the halls, down the stairs, making their way down. We're like, yelling, follow our voice, get down through the window we all came in and out of. And you hear Sebastian and Randall coming in that room, and they're like, you can see them now. And we're like grabbing them, pulling them out the window. One of the girls like, oh my God, pointing. And we all look. No, one of the other guys was still left in there. And you can hear him screaming like, there's somebody on the floor with me. I'm being chased by somebody. And then out of nowhere, you just hear one of the guys like, what is that? And down the hall, like if we're looking right above us, like say on the 4th floor where Sebastian and them were at, you see the guy hanging out the window. One of the other guys from our arch rival high school is like, what the hell do I do? And like, come down this way and follow us. Down that hall on the other side of the building, we see this dark figure. It's like an apparition looking at us through the window. You see a dark silhouette. No, you can't determine. It's a man. You don't see hair. You just see a dark shadow. And it like looked in the direction of where this guys at that was with us. And then it just like, I'm not going to say it vanished, but it just like went in the room real fast. Like you don't see it anymore. Look in the window. And we're screaming like, whatever it is after you. And you can hear him screaming throughout the building. Like it's right behind me. And he jumped out the second window, ended up breaking his arm and his clavicle. And we had to take him to the hospital. And Sebastian and Randall took him to the hospital and dropped him off at the hospital. And they said, what happened? It's like, he slipped and fell downstairs and he did this. We weren't going to tell him we were at this hospital and stuff so we wouldn't get kicked out of high school and stuff. But later we found out, I don't know if this is true or not, all right, because everything you hear about this hospital from these shows and stuff, us being locals, it's not what they say on the shows. It's like they lie to get ratings on the shows, but not what really happens locally of what we know the stories. But the offshoot, the room that Sebastian and Randall was, is apparently where they did perform a few lobotomies. And that offshoot room is like where they recovered from it. Or not the offshoot room was where they did the lobotomy, but the big rooms where they recovered from it. And supposedly there has to do something with a red ball and a child. The child supposedly died there. I don't know if it's tuberculosis or whatnot, but yeah, I've never been back. None of us have been back since then, but it's totally true about that place being haunted.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of stories myself. Y'all the only ones I've known personally that went there and had this encounter.
Anybody that watches Lord of the Rings, they had the Council of the Ring, and Boromir's talking about, how they're wanting to go to Mordor to destroy the ring. He said there's things there, there's evil there that does not sleep. I'm going to tell you about this hospital. There's evil there that does not sleep. And I won't even go there on a tour or guide. I had my first and only experience along with Sebastian and Levi. Haven't been back since, will not go back. And they're wanting to do this thing, make this thing into a bed and breakfast. Good luck with that.
That would be a very interesting bed and breakfast.
Well, I'm finished my 6-pack, so I guess the stories are over with for me for the night.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that episode of Dravo Vein. And once again, like, subscribe, and we'll continue doing the stories.
What he forgot to say is share. Keyword there, share. If you feel like you want to hit me, go right ahead. I can't feel nothing. My body's tingling. But,
yeah, please share.
And our famous saying that Sebastian wants us to say, fact or fiction, truth or lies, you decide.